As a celebration for The Great Gatsby becoming, like, a Broadway musical, I decided why not make a musical themed video, and also, like, my 2 favorite musicals have the actor and actress for the main roles of The Great Gatsby in them, so, you can tell that I wish I could see it in person, but unfortunately I cannot, so I will just make this video. My number 1, my absolute favorite musical, this was the first one I ever saw, and I've only seen 2 musicals, but it's the first one I ever saw because it was my favorite at the time, and it still is, Hadestown. Um, my favorite songs from this, it's hard to choose, but I'd say my favorite songs are probably "Come Home with Me," but the reprise, or reprise, however you say it. Epic number 3, or honestly all of the epics, and We Raise Our Cups. This probably could change tomorrow or the next time I listen to it, depends, but there's that. My favorite character, I'm just gonna go I'm I'm gonna try and, like, do just one for all these musicals, but there are probably multiple for a lot of them. And I'll probably go with Orpheus on this one, but I do like Eurydice. I'd probably just go with Orpheus, if I had to choose. Um, but I love this because, like, the music and the scenes, the set, um, like, it's really unique and also, like, it's good music as well. For musical theater, it's really unique, like, a unique way they do it. And, I love it. It's kind of like Hamilton in a way where the story continues on with songs, there's no, like, really dialogue in between, like, so that's probably why it's number 1 on my list. Because if I hadn't had seen it, I still would know what's going on because the story is within the songs and there's nothing that you're missing. I still haven't seen Dear Evan Hansen live, but I was listening to the cast recording of that, and then I saw a bootleg of it, and I didn't even know half the story, like, I realized that when I watched the bootleg just because there's, like, a lot of dialogue within those, but with, like, Hadestown, the story is within the music, the songs, and so you don't even have to see it to know what the story is, so there's that, and there's why Hadestown is great. Honestly, you all should go listen to it because it's amazing. Now, my second favorite musical is Newsies, and as you can tell, Jeremy Jordan does a phenomenal job as Jack Kelly, and I will admit this is better than the movie. I did watch the movie first, and then I started just listening to the soundtrack of the movie, but then I'm like, I'm gonna try out the Broadway, and I haven't gone back. Like, I love the Broadway one a lot more. Um, Probably because it was, like, made for the stage and, like, stuff like that. They casted, like, really good. The movie, like, it's good, but, it does stand on its own, but the musical just, like, is amazing. My favorite songs, I would say I really like I Never Planned on You, like, with all, like, the melody, I guess, and, um, I forget her name, but Jack Kelly, or parentheses Jeremy Jordan, and the girl that I forget the name of singing. I feel kind of bad for forgetting the name and then calling this one of my favorite musicals, but whatever. And then my second favorite, I'd probably say off the top of my head, Santa Fe. And then my third favorite, I really like Once and For All. Yeah, I just really like that musical. I mean, that song and the musical, but yeah. And as you can tell, the lead in Newsies and the female lead in Hadestown are in this new Great Gatsby musical. So, extra points for the Great Gatsby musical. I'm sure it'll be amazing. Now, I don't think this top 10 list is set in stone because I'm about to say my third favorite musical, but my fourth favorite might swap with this from time to time. But right now, my third favorite I'd say is Amelie, and both the Broadway and London one, there's songs I like from the London cast recording, and there's songs I like from the Broadway cast recording, and there's some new ones on the London one because it was like made after the Broadway one. Um, but my favorite songs I'd say are probably Times Are Hard for Dreamers, which is like the first and only one I would listen to for a long time before I introduced myself to more of the songs and the whole album. Then Air and Stay. Um, I just really like those songs. It's a pretty unique musical set after like a movie made in the early 2000s, a French movie. So it's set in France, and I think it's during, I mean, the movie came out in the early 2000s, but from what I can tell, I think it's set in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. I'm not quite sure, and I know they flash back sometimes, but yeah, that's pretty cool. So, yeah. It feels like a crime not to put this in the top three, but I swear it is in the top three at times in my life. It just depends on which time. And that's Les Mis, and I love this musical and stuff like that. Um, and I have a lot more favorite songs than this one because it's just that good. First, before I say the songs, I want to say my favorite character or characters are probably Eponine and Enjolras, and probably Fontaine if I had to pick a third. Um, I know I said I would only pick one from each musical, but I mean, I guess if I had to for this one, I'd probably say Eponine. But my favorite songs are from this musical are On My Own and A Little Fall of Rain. Those are two Eponine songs. So again, adding to my favorite character, I guess. And then One Day More, Confrontation, and I Dreamed a Dream. They're just great songs. You guys should listen to this one too. And there's people who don't like musical theater that also like this soundtrack, so that's another reason to give it a go. Number 5, I when like was introduced to this, I wasn't planning on having it be one of my favorites. Um, but it actually is quite a good musical, and that's Legally Blonde. And I don't I so it's kind of weird putting it in number 5 on the list because I actually don't listen to the whole musical. I do like the storyline. I don't really like all the songs, but I kind of only like Emmett and Elle's songs, which with a few exceptions. Um, I my favorite song I'd probably say is "Take It Like a Man." I really like that song. Kind of shows how far they've come, and Elle's helping out Emmett. And then I'd probably say "Chip on My Shoulder," "Serious," which "Serious" I know I said I like Emmett and Elle's songs, but I do really like the song "Serious," which still has Elle in it, but yeah, and then, I like Christian Borle as Emmett because I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard he is a better Emmett, or maybe like a more thorough, thought out Emmett, which I don't know where people stand on whether the movie or the musical is better, like which one is better, but I feel like when I hear people say the musical is better, it's mostly because of who they casted for Emmett. So there's a point to that. Now number 6, Wicked. I recently saw this in New York on Broadway. It was pretty good, and it's the second and last show I've seen to this date. Um, so I've only seen Wicked and Hadestown. My favorite song by far is Dancing Through Life. I really like that one. It's like an ensemble song, but also starts out with Fiero, and Fiero is by far my favorite character in the musical. I love it, and it's a great prequel to The Wizard of Oz. Like, it connects in so many ways. I love it. And let's see, second favorite song, I'd say Defying Gravity. And then my third favorite song is one you wouldn't know if you haven't seen a bootleg or if you haven't seen the live show. I first saw it on a bootleg, but again, I also got to see it in person, so added to that. This isn't in the cast recording, and I looked up as to why, and apparently they thought it would spoil too much of the show. But it's like really good, even though it's about my least favorite character. And that song is Wicked Witch of the East. And I really don't like Nessa in this musical, but I do like that song. So, yeah. Number 7, Into the Woods. And just like Wicked, there's a character I absolutely hate in this musical, and I don't care to go over the specifics in this ranking, but I really dislike the baker's wife. I'll say, okay, I don't know if that's unpopular or not. I don't like the baker's wife. Okay, on to my favorite song. By far, Giants in the Sky. That is my favorite song. I love it. Um, if I had to say the next two, I'd probably say the finale, or I think it's Children Will Listen. I think that's the title, but I think it's also called Finale too. And then I like It Takes Two. Again, I know it has the baker's wife in it. That's kind of a theme, isn't it? Like, I like the songs the worst character is a part of, but I don't like the character. Also, I know this is about the staged one, which the stage version is better than the movie, and the reason why is because James Corden ruins every movie he's in. No hate towards him as a person, but as an actor, I don't know how he was allowed to be in the movie. And I haven't seen Cats, but I've heard he ruined that one too. um, and also I again, this isn't about the movie, but I do want to say that a redeemable quality about the movie is that the actor for Gavroche in the live action Les Mis is Jack in um in the movie Into the Woods, and he's a pretty good singer, so I'll give it that. I'll give the movie that. Now on to the last three, and it's funny because these last three are the first musicals that got me into musical theater. And this one is In the Heights, which is the third musical I've ever listened to. And I'd say my favorite songs from it are Breathe, Champagne, Hundreds of Stories, and Everything I Know. Also, any and all of Nina and Benny's songs that they sing together, which there are three. I love those as well. Maybe those are my favorite characters. Actually, if I had to say my favorite character, I'd have to go with just the main character, Usnavi. Um, I just like that. So there's In the Heights. Now, number 9 is one I've kind of fallen off a bit. Like, I'm not as invested with the story. I don't really have a goal to ever see it in real life because I know so many more musicals now, and it's just not like top priority for me. But I still like the songs, and it's Dear Evan Hansen. And I this was the second musical I've ever like got into, listened to, and I did love it at the time. I still love the songs, as I said. But I've just like fallen off of it. Like, I just like so many more now. And I'd say my favorite songs are probably Only Us, Good for You, Finale, and an honorable mention because it kind of switches from time to time. I'd say To Break in a Glove. Now on to number 10, the one that got me into musicals, Hamilton. I I liked this at first. It was the like only musical I listened to for a while, along with Dear Evan Hansen and In the Heights. And, as much as I like that it got me into musical theater, it's, nowhere near like my top three or anything. But I do still like some of the songs and stuff like that. My favorite songs are probably, first of all, basically all of Eliza's songs, and I'd say my top songs are That Would Be Enough, Helpless, Satisfied, because those two I feel like they're good when you listen to them together. Dear Theodosia, which actually might be my top favorite. It's between that and That Would Be Enough. Um, Take a Break, Hurricane, Best of Wives and Best of Women, and Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. I also love the time period, um, like the Revolutionary War period. Um, and I love the costume design of this because it's like musical theater, but it's like historical stuff like that. Like they found a way to make it um musical theater-esque, but still have the accuracy of something back then, like dresses back then, the like um the stuff men wore back then during the war, and then just after when it's after the war in the second act, they have just uh outfits that men would wear back then. And yeah, that's Hamilton, the first musical I listened to. Still on my top 10 apparently, so there's that. I was working on like a little video about something, but it's taking longer than I thought, much like the other filler I had to do like 2 weeks ago. But I didn't want to not upload this week, so here's this and replace that, and hopefully I'll be able to get the video I'm working on up next week.